Welcome to the Committee of Adjustment for January 15th, 2026. Call to order. Any pecuniary interest by anyone today? Take that as a no. Our first application today is an application for consent, 912 1050 Zion Road. The owners are Jeffrey, Diane, Brian, and Andrea Sills. And staff?
Thank you, Chair. The subject lands located at 912 and 1050 Zion Road are designated agricultural land use in the official plan and currently developed with two one-unit detached dwellings, as well as several accessory buildings and barns. This consent application proposes to sever an existing surplus dwelling at 912 Zion Road with two accessory buildings onto a separate lot with a lot area of 4,000 square meters and lot frontage of 45 meters on Zion Road. As a condition of consent, a zoning bylaw amendment is required to rezone the severed parcel from the rezone the severed parcel to a rural residential zone, while rezoning the retained lands to a site-specific agriculture zone to prohibit any new future residential development on the retained portion of land. Staff note that one of the existing barns south of the proposed severed parcel would not comply with the minimum distance separation formula in accordance with provincial guidelines. As such, a condition of consent is included which regards the demolition of the existing barn. At this time, staff have received one correspondence from a member of the public who asked questions about the application, particularly whether the remaining farmland could be developed in the future as a result of the proposal. Staff provided clarification that new residential development on the retained parcel would be prohibited through the policies of the official plan, which has been reflected in the conditions of consent. Staff have received correspondence from the Quinte Conservation since the writing of the report, indicating that they have no concerns to the application as presented. No other correspondence has been received by staff regarding this application. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anyone here from Watson Land Surveyors or the Sills to comment?
Yes, Jennifer Matthews from Watson Land Surveyors. We're the agent for this file. I just have one request that I got a little bit of information here that I'd like to read, and just the condition that we would like maybe the committee to reconsider is the demolition of the barn. So Jeff and Brian Sills have been livestock farming in Thurlow Township for many years. The existing dwelling at number 912 is surplus to their farming operation, and that's the application that's before you today. As a part of this complete application package, our clients were required to do an aggregate study on the inactive pit across the road, which cost them about $4,500. It is the intent of our clients to begin to reduce the number of livestock that they currently have as they near retirement from livestock farming. Any remaining cattle they keep will be housed in the barn behind 1050 Zion Road, which is on the same parcel, the retained parcel. That being said, they do still intend to continue to utilize the 164-hectare farmland as a cash crop operation. Cash crop farming requires ample space in a dry location to store hay, the hay they cut, along with the equipment used for harvesting it. Should this consent application be approved with the conditions the way they currently are, it would require Jeff and Brian to demolish the existing barn behind number 912, and they would lose the ability to utilize that for dry storage for their cash crop operation. We estimate the cost of the demo and rehabilitation of the footprint of that building to be in excess of $100,000. A much less onerous and cheaper option would be to rezone the barn. Oops, is that me? Sorry. A much less onerous and cheaper option would be to rezone the barn to have no livestock, which would be about $3,500 fee to the city of Belleville. So basically what I'm asking is, and one more point too, is that our office did a file in 2020, which is 1.5 kilometers down the road from this one. And at that time, they were able to keep the barn and renovate it to have no livestock and rezone it to have no livestock. I have had conversations with city staff about that particular topic, and their understanding, which they can chime in once I'm finished here, is that if it's rezoned for no livestock, someone could come back to this committee or the Planning Advisory Committee with an application to put livestock back in it. My comment to that would be an application that they could turn down because it was it was in there because it was a condition of approval for a consent application. So what they want to do is they'd like to keep, and you can see on the sketch, it's on the left side, and it says barn to remain. That's the portion that they would like to keep. The larger portion is over 120 years old. Realistically, that's probably going to come down anyway. They're going to take that down, but they would like to keep, if possible, the smaller portion to utilize it as dry storage. And I do have one of the owners, Jeff Sills, here if there's any questions specifically for him on the farming operation.
I have a question. So
Yes.
This barn that they're talking about for removal,
Yes?
so they're not going to be using it for animals? They're going to use it just for dry storage?
That's right. So right now, there is animals in it. They are winding down their farming operation. So those cattle will be removed and housed in a barn that's behind 1050, which is on the retained parcel, the barn behind that house, and they will utilize it as dry storage only.
Okay, so technically it won't be a barn, it'll just be a building for storage?
That's right. And I don't know, this pictures don't actually show it very well, but
No.
it's a lower building. Like the barn, the portion that's going to come down anyway is the one on the right side, and that's the taller barn that you can see in the picture. The other one is much shorter. So it could be used for small farming equipment. So that's the only condition that we would just like the committee to reconsider, and certainly happy to answer any questions from staff or from the committee.
Question I have for staff. If they don't use the building for cattle, is that minimum distance come into the equation?
We can look into that a little further, but my understanding is that once the building is capable of housing livestock, then there are some gray areas as to if MDS would apply. However, I don't think it's an unreasonable ask, because in the past, I believe we have looked at conditions in a similar manner. However, the condition was coined based on a letter that we got from the applicant's representative to state that the applicants have no issues to demolish the barn. But we can definitely look at the wording. My colleague would like to chime in.
So are you saying that they had no issues with demolishing the barn, but you're saying?
No, we probably, yes, I'm agreeing with them. It's been reconsidered, and once they considered the cost of removing that barn and making the land workable for farming and building something farther back, that's now why we're asking for it to stay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Andrew?
Yeah, just to be, through the chair, just to be clear, the, even if we did put a special zone to deem that it's for storage, technically you only need a building permit, and I don't even think that farming buildings need a building permit to just change of use. So that's why it's a little trickier to handle through zoning, but if the committee wants to have that reflected in the conditions and strike out the condition to demolish, that's within your power.
Yes, I think that's, do you want to come up maybe, Jeff? Yeah, that's the intent, is that's an older portion, and it probably needs to come down. This is Jeff Sills, one of the owners. They're just asking the larger part if it's going to come down in the near future-ish anyway.
So the history of this property is if you can see from the picture, the larger part of the barn that's a hip roof barn was a dairy barn many, many years ago. It's probably in the neighborhood of 100 to 125 years of age. And then a new owner bought the property in about the mid-1970s, and the piece that's a lower truss roof building that goes from east to west there, it is attached to that barn. That's a much better, in much better condition at this point than the old barn. So our intention is fully to demolish. We'd like to separate the buildings where they're joined now. retain the lower truss roof part that is suitable for storage, and then the old dairy barn that's really not in very good condition, we would be fine with tearing that down and cleaning up that part of the property for sure.
Maybe just say.
Just a question to General. Can you put a time limit on it, like a year, that it's got to be done within a year?
So through to the chair, the conditions of consent last 2 years, and they can ad hoc be extended at the request of whoever is applying.
Anybody else with questions, comments? Anybody in the audience wishes to comment on Zion Road property?
I have a question through you, Mr. Chair. Do we have to spell that out on the barn being, like, because it's all one piece right now, right? Or no, is it two separate pieces? I thought you said it was attached.
It's attached. Can you get from one part to the other, or is it
Yes, you can.
inside?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure when we're coming up with the motion that we consider that.
So currently, if I can just clarify a little bit, the lower part of the barn is currently being used for livestock. We're dairy farmers. We sold our dairy herd in October of '24, and we decided at that time to give us kind of stay in the business a little while longer, and for income tax purposes as well. We kept about 120 head of our young cattle for 2 more years. 25 being the first year, this will be the second year. By the end of this year, all of the cattle will be totally gone, which allows us to remove or demolish the barns. If it's pleases the committee and planning, we will demolish all of it if necessary. It's just that we are still in the business of cropping all of our land there. There's over 600 acres there. And smaller pieces of equipment that don't require such a large roof space or height. This building suits itself to back things in there just for storage, and that's all it would be used for. Smaller pieces of farming equipment.
Okay.
It just saves us some money. And at the same time, my brother and I, Brian, who is a partner of mine, we've been talking about this, and we have to do some work to that. If we were allowed to leave that portion of the barn, we're going to have to do some work to kind of renovate it, bring it up to where we would like to see it. If that cost becomes too much, then we're just going to tear it all down anyway. But if we had the option of leaving it, that would be obviously an advantage for us to, not have to put up a whole new building.
Okay. Andrew?
Through to the chair. So before putting a resolution on the floor, you can make an amendment to the resolution as needed. A suggestion would probably be to change the condition about demolition and append it with and/or to be appropriately rezoned for storage.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Okay. Do you have a motion?
Yeah, I move that we do
Move.
as Andrew has stated.
That
As amended.
as amended, and that the building is to be used for storage only
Or demolished.
or demolished?
Or demolished.
Yes. Okay, does that second it here? All in favor? There. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next application is application of consent and easement at 170 Coleman Street, Belleville, and the owner is Mohammed Shahid and is staff.
Thank you, Chair. The subject property, located at 170 Coleman Street, adjacent to the Bill of Flint property. This consent application proposes to create a private access easement approximately 18.5 meter wide and 5.8 meters long across the north property line. This easement would be entirely on 170 Coleman Street and would provide a shared means of ingress and egress with the abutting property at 180 Coleman Street. The proposed shared access easement, identified as C on the submitted key plan, would allow for a more efficient use of land, as both properties would gain access from Coleman Street through a single internal access road. Staff have received correspondence from the Quinte Conservation since the writing of the report, indicating that they have no concerns to the application as presented. At this time, staff have received no correspondence from the public regarding this application. Back to you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak on 170 Coleman Street?
My name is Bilal Jawad. Bilal Jawad. I'm basically construction manager for this development. Oh. Hi, my name is Bilal Jawad, and I'm going to be the construction manager for this development. So basically, both the parcels are of the same owner, but it's under different company. It's under different ownership, basically. So we are just so there's going to be two variants, severe variants, but currently we are applying for C, which is from which comes under D, and the severance is from parcel A to C, technically. So yeah, that's about it. Is there any questions on it?
Is B the property that the house is on, that red brick house?
Sorry, can you say that again?
Is the property B in the drawing, is that where that red brick house is?
No, the
No?
red brick house you're saying, right? The red brick house you're saying? No, you mean the Bella Flint.
Yeah, the Bella Flint house.
Yeah, the Bella Flint is in property A, in the zone A. Oh, it changed.
Oh, wrong one.
It's out of the picture there. Yeah.
The picture is covering, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Bella Flint house is in B?
A.
A,
Oh, it's in A,
Yeah.
okay.
the north.
So this is not part of, it's not coming off the
No,
Bella
no,
Flint
no,
property
no,
house?
no.
It's the property to the south,
the
I guess.
north side,
Yeah,
basically.
okay.
Basically, they're gonna build two condos on each side, on AB, and DC will have a big condo tower, and they wanna share the entrance. in
okay.
between, So they have a shared entrance, and B and C cover you can see the configuration of the driveways there, and they're just gonna have a shared entrance that way, so one can drive over each other's properties when the three buildings get built.
Makes sense. Anybody else have questions, comments on this property? Any of the committee members have any questions, comments? Okay, if not, a motion? Scott, second by Robert, all in favor? Done, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next is an application for a minor variance, 1228 Harmony Road, Belleville. The owner is 2509635 Ontario Inc., Roger Ray and Diane Gerald Ray, and staff.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. The subject land is on the southeast corner of the intersection of Harmony Road and Shore Road. It's located solely on the east side of an unopened road allowance that divides the land municipally known as 1228 Harmony Road. The land on the west side of the unopened road allowance is not subject to this minor variance. On November the 20th, 2025, the Committee of Adjustment provisionally approved consent file PL CST 2025-0296, which would create a rural residential lot for a dwelling surplus to farm operations, with a lot frontage of approximately 204.9 meters on Harmony Road and a lot area of 1.5 hectares. The retained parcel is the subject land, which would have a lot frontage of approximately 177.3 meters on Harmony Road and a lot area of 18.5 hectares. As required by a condition of consent, it would be rezoned from agricultural AG zone to agricultural AG-X zone with a special provision that prohibits any residential development. In both AG and AG-X zone, the minimum required lot size is 40.0 hectares or the area of the lot that existed on the date when the zoning bylaw was approved, whichever is lesser. When zoning bylaw 2024-100 was approved on March the 11th, 2024, the subject land was 20.0 hectares in size. So the proposed minor variance is to reduce the minimum required lot size for the retained parcel from the existing 20.0 hectares to 18.5 hectares. The official plan designation of the subject property is agricultural land use. After the staff recommendation was submitted to the committee, Quinte Conservation provided comments stating that they have no objection to this application. At this time, staff have received no more correspondence regarding this application. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak on 1228 Harmony Road? Okay. Back again.
Me again. I don't have anything to add, but just happy to answer any questions.
So we're just basically doing a technical adjustment here.
Yep, because the area was 20 hectares at the time the bylaw was passed, and then now with the severance cut out, it's going to be 18.5.
Five.
So it now doesn't meet the bylaw technically, so it's a minor variance to address that difference.
Okay. Anybody else wishes to comment on 1228 Harmony Road? Any of the members? No? If not, Joe, seconded by Jack. All in favor? Thank you. Okay. Next application, minor variance, Thurlow Concession 2 Parks Lot 1415, and the owner is an Ontario Inc. company, Vision Transport, and it is a minor variance. And staff?
Thanks to Mr. Chair. The subject property is located on the northeast of the east end of College Street East. It's a vacant land zoned General Industrial IN1-5 zone. A new warehouse and office building is proposed on the property. The warehouse would have a floor area of 44,094.9 square meters, and the office would have a floor area of 418.1 square meters. Using these floor areas for calculation, a minimum of 341 off-street parking spaces would be required. Considering an expected workforce of approximately 50 to 70 employees, this minor variance proposes to reduce the minimum requirement to 99 off-street parking spaces, which would result in an decreased parking ratio for warehouse from 0.75 to 0.22 space per 100 square meters of gross floor area, and another decreased parking ratio for office from 2.3 to 0.67 space for per 100 square meters of gross floor area. The official plan designation of the subject property are employment land use and environmental protection. All proposed off-street parking spaces would be in the employment land use designation. After the staff recommendation report was submitted to the committee, Quinte Conservation provided comments stating that they have no objection to this application, as the proposed parking spaces are not located within a natural hazard and are located beyond Quinte Conservation's regulated area. However, Quinte Conservation will have additional comments to be addressed at the site plan control stage, and preliminary comments have been provided to the applicant in this regard. At this time, staff have received no more correspondence regarding this application. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak on that property?
Yes, good afternoon. I'm Cliff Smith, Cornerstone Builders, the agent on behalf of Vision Transportation. And we submitted the application for the minor variance here, and I guess speaking on the parking calculations, the nature of warehousing and its automation and efficiency, they're not expecting, obviously, 300 people at this warehouse, so reasonable to say 100 spaces would cover them. This will be much similar to 659 College Street, which is just south of that facility, and that's 686,000 square feet. So virtually an identical picture if you wanted to envision this. We did receive the Conservation Authority comments, and we understand and respect the Bell Creek watershed and lots of words there. Anyways, the setbacks. So with respect to that, we are hoping to have our site plan application into the town here in the next several weeks. So yeah, any questions?
The parking reduction is going to be for employees, not for the transport, the commercial vehicles, correct?
No, No. Commercial vehicles, as you can see towards the back of the facility, that'd be the shipping yard, which faces the Amazon property. The front part is employees.
So it's just the employee?
Just the employees.
Lot, which makes sense. You're not going to have 100 employees.
No.
Okay.
It's not in that range. No.
Okay. Anybody else have questions, comments? Anybody else in the audience wishes to comment on this property? No? If not, motion. Robert, seconded by Scott. All in favor? There, thank you.
All right, thank you for your time.
Okay. Next application is for a minor variance, 221 Coleman Street, Belleville. The owner is JRB Williams Enterprises and staff.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. 221 Coleman Street is located on the east side of Coleman Street, west of Moira River and north of Bridge Street west. The building on the property is recognized as a mixed-use building with an office being developed on the main floor and a vacant residential unit on the second floor. Both floors don't have a deck. Now a deck is proposed for each floor. The upper deck for the second floor would have a height of 3.4 meters above grade, and the lower deck for the first floor would have a height of approximately 0.8 meters above grade. The official plan designations of the subject property are city center and open space. Both proposed decks would be in both designations. According to the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation, the building on the property was initially developed in 1925. Its relatively narrow setbacks are all recognized as legal nonconforming, meaning that all the yards are required yards, and any new decks would project into required yards. The zoning bylaw has provisions that regulate projections of decks into required yards. Compared to those provisions, both proposed decks would project into a required yard more than the zoning bylaw permits. Specifically, the zoning bylaw would permit the proposed upper deck to project up to 1.5 meters into the required rear yard, while a projection of up to 2.9 meters is proposed, resulting in a rear yard setback of at least 2.5 meters. The zoning bylaw would permit the proposed lower deck to project up to 3 meters into the required rear yard and would not permit it to project into the required interior side yards, whereas the proposed lower deck would project 5.4 meters into the required rear yard, 0.1 meter into the required south interior side yard, and 2.6 meters into the required north interior side yard, all of which would result in setbacks of nil from the rear property line and both interior side property lines. The proposed minor variance requests relief for the mentioned non-compliant projections. Regarding the four-part test for minor variances as outlined in Section 45(1) of the Planning Act, the proposal meets the general intent and purpose of the official plan, is minor in nature, and is desirable for the appropriate development of the subject lands. The proposed rear yard projections for both decks and the south interior side yard projection for the lower deck meet the general intent of the zoning bylaw, but the proposed north interior side yard projection for the lower deck may not meet the general intent of the zoning bylaw. Thus, staff recommend that the proposed minor variance be approved, subject to the committee's consideration. After the staff recommendation report was submitted to the committee, Quinte Conservation provided comments stating that they have no objection to this application. At this time, staff have received no correspondence regarding this application. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Is there anybody here from Williams Enterprises or the agent to comment?
Good afternoon. I'm Arnold Vandermeer. I'm the agent for JRB Williams Enterprises. Brad Williams is the owner. He basically has acquired this property and is renovating it for commercial, upgrading the commercial on the ground floor, residential on the second floor, and actually removed an addition that was originally on the front of the building when it was a law office. So he's reduced the area. He wants to upgrade the property. And basically, if you look at the plan, we were looking at about a 15-foot rear yard, whereas the zoning bylaw, technically, I think, wants 6 meters. So we're looking at 18. And in effect, what we're doing, as he likes to do, is bring the deck level up to the ground floor, so it's a straight walkout, and it has a full level backyard as in a deck format instead of as a patio, and bringing it right up to the property limits, because once you cut it in portions of it, you get really almost unusable smaller spaces. So the intent really is give them a rear yard at a higher elevation. The backyard is referenced as being the Moir River, so we're not really encroaching into anybody's backyard. The side yard to the south is commercial use. It's a I guess a pub, dining place, and they are already encroaching their patio area right into the yard. They have screening already along that side as well. Actually, it's a glass screening. And Williams is also on the north side of his property, is putting his screening in there to buffer. And the property to the north, again, also has decks and patios into that rear yard encroachment. So it's basically trying to utilize the existing property to a good benefit is what we're looking at, what we have to work with. It doesn't comply with the current zoning, it's legal non-conforming, and we're working within those constraints.
Any questions for this gentleman? I went and inspected the property, and I think it's a definite improvement to what was there. There's no backyard, so you may as well put a deck in there and make it usable.
Yes.
And no, I think it's definite plus for that property.
And the second level deck is basically an amenity for the second floor apartment.
Yep. Any other questions? If not, Jack, moved, second by Robert, all in favor?
Thank you.
The next application is for a minor variance at 197 Charles Street, the city of Belleville, and the owner is Walmsley Properties and staff.
Thank you, Chair. I think we did 2 slides. The second slide, JJ, if you may, shows photos around the property. So the bottom one to the left is a view of the property along Bridge Street. You can see the red brick building there. That's the main dwelling. And then the top 2 photos are properties along Charles Street. So yeah, we can go back to the top slide that shows the overall. All right. So the subject property is within the residential type 2 zone and is located at 197 Charles Street at the intersection of Charles Street and Bridge Street East. It is currently developed with a 1-unit, 2-story detached dwelling along with a detached storage garage located at the rear of the property. The dwelling itself is a designated heritage building, however, the existing garage is not. The applicant is proposing to demolish the existing garage and construct a new 2-story garage at the exterior side yard along Charles Street. The proposed garage would be located closer to Charles Street than the main building and would exceed the maximum permitted height for accessory buildings. The zoning bylaw requires that accessory buildings not be located closer to a street line than the main building and not exceed a maximum permitted height of 4.5 meters within the R2 zone. However, to facilitate the proposal, zoning relief is being requested to permit the accessory building to be located closer to the street line along Charles Street than the main building, which would have a setback of 4 meters from the exterior side lot line, and to increase the maximum permitted height from 4.5 meters to 8.5 meters. Staff have received correspondence from the Quinte Conservation since the writing of the report, indicating that the subject property is outside of their regulatory area and therefore have no concerns to the application as presented. Staff note that the staff report was overly specific in mentioning a garage that was specifically for 2 cars in the recommendation, The mention is advised to be removed, and the committee's resolution should be updated accordingly. At this time, staff have not received any correspondence from the public regarding this application. Back to you, Chair. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is there anyone here to speak to this property? Back again.
Yes, one more time. I am the agent, Arnold Vandermeer, for Raymond, sorry, not Raymond, from Andrew Walmsley. I had to deal with his father many years ago. Andrew basically was pursuing putting a new garage in, replacing the old garage, and he wanted to basically use the access and the parking spots as he has located off Charles Street. There currently was 2 cars already parking in front of that, along that area on this property as well as the adjacent property to the south. His feeling was, I already have that property being used for private use and was delineated by the existing fence that was there, a wood board fence along from the existing house going south, extending ahead towards Charles Street and then to the south towards the adjacent property, and then the fence also follows the property line again back between the common side lot lines. We see this as being 2 issues. I don't think you have probably an issue with the height that we're asking for as a variance. If we'd put a little 1-story garage there, it would probably not look very attractive. Our picture doesn't really give it justice what he's doing. We're not sure what materials he'll be looking at, but the intent would be that it would blend in to what his existing building is as be part of the neighborhood. The area basically, in that general area, is a lot of encroachments already through shrubberies, parking spaces already being utilized on the street road allowance. We were asked to provide a planning justification report because there are a difference of opinions here, and I guess planners can look at it with different policies, and Spencer Hutchison is here as well. So he prepared a planning justification for it of his opinion, whether it could be justified or not, and you could call on him if you have any questions on that. But basically I see the setback issue. I originally asked him, can we not just work within the confines? We're only talking 4 feet. He will, with the removal of the back garage, give him more rear yard because the history of the building, I guess, is that there was the house originally was a coach house, I guess, on the east side of the property that got severed off. And that got converted into residential units as well. But the driveway between the property belongs to this main 160 Charles Street. And the area behind where the existing garage is also part of 160 Charles Street. So he does have a lot of rear yard to utilize. I don't think he wants to lose his variance for the height of the building. And I think we're all of the opinion that we would like to, it's up to the committee whether they're comfortable or uncomfortable giving the variance for reducing the setback of that garage closer to the street that he would like to see entertained. That's basically the gist of what it is. So I know you've asked the questions earlier when I was sitting in the room waiting for the meeting to start, and I think you're probably deliberating the same thing. I'd like to see support for the variance for the increased height. It would blend in well. And let's discuss whether the setback reduction is appropriate or not.
Is this garage attached to the building, or is it going to be a standalone building?
Standalone building. That drawing is shown there. It's a 2-story garage with a wider garage door. We measured the sizes of it and made it fit into the property. So it's a standalone. It will not be attached to the existing building.
I don't have an issue with the height. The issue that I have is if you move that building closer to the street, you're going to lose 2 parking spots, which they have now. And if you're demolishing the garage in the back, then my question is, what's the need to move it closer to the street rather than leave it at the same distance as the house?
Right.
Because you're going to lose those parking spots, and how many other parking spots are there? And will people park in the garage? How many, is this a single-family unit, building?
This, the new building?
Oh, no, the existing building.
Actually, there was originally 4 units in that building. He's really converting it to his own personal residence, and as reducing the number of units, either down to 2 or 3 units in the existing building. It's a 3-story house. So there were 4 units in it. He's going through the rent control measures to deal with that and reducing it. There's 3 units in the building. He has parking along the side, the east side of the building as well. And his really interest was, I'm already parking there between the sidewalk and the fence, and I'm building this building behind the fence. I'm not coming ahead of the fence, but I am coming ahead of the yard setback that's existing for the house right now.
So those 2 parking spots that are in front of that fence will still be there?
Yes.
So you're not losing any parking spots?
No, he's actually increasing that setback because the garage is actually being set back behind the fence yet further. So actually the depth from the sidewalk to the fence, current fence, gets increased when we go to the front of the new location of the proposed location of the garage.
But wouldn't it look aesthetically better to have the house at the same distance as the garage from the street? That's the concern that I have.
I'm not going to argue with you. I'm of the same opinion, and I think Spencer would probably say the same thing. It's a matter of where we're dealing with on this one. It's almost a judgment call.
Yeah.
I think, yes, if I was myself, I'd be quite comfortable that the garage was basically set back and lined up with the front of the existing building.
Yeah. Any questions?
Arnold, did you say this is going to be a one residence when it's completed?
It's his personal residence, and I think he has 2 extra suites in that house.
In the house?
In the house itself, yes.
And the
originally
garage?
there was 4.
The garage is how much higher?
It has a loft in it, more for storage. There's no amenities on the second floor. It will have a stair, but it was really felt that a 1-story garage really wouldn't look right. He's trying to make it look proper in the neighborhood and put the colonial features, Victorian features in this building.
Okay, my concern was what it was going to be used for.
Yeah, no, there's no intention at this point.
Okay. Any other questions? Is there anybody else in the audience who wishes to comment on Charles Street? No, I have no. Sorry, I have no concerns about the height. I think that's with the buildings beside it. It's not going to, and it's the roof. I think it's the roof line that probably increases the height as well. It's just that to set that back, even with the house, to make the streetscape look better. That's what I would like to see. And it's only 4 feet, and that's my thought. Anyway.
I disagree. I think it's fine. Let him have the variance. He's clearly going to do a nice job. I'm with Scott. I think it should be passed.
Okay, whatever.
I vote as requested, motion as requested.
Okay, did you have a question, Andrew? No. Okay, okay. Scott, so you move that we allow the additional, to be closer to the street than the house, okay? And you're second that? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, our next application for consent is at 211, 221 Bell Boulevard, and the owner is REIT Ontario Properties and staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So what we're looking at here are 4 fairly technical consent applications that all work together. I'll do my best to walk you through them here. So the subject properties are located on the south side of Bell Boulevard, east of Sydney Street. 211 Bell Boulevard is zoned C3-H2 Regional Commercial and is developed with No Frills Grocery Store, while 221 Bell Boulevard next door is currently vacant. A large portion of 221 Bell is zoned R3-13 and R3-13-H, residential type 3, and is to be developed with residential units in the form of apartments and townhouse dwellings, while the northeast corner of 221 Bell is zoned C3-H2 and is to be retained for future commercial development. So the purpose of these consent applications is solely for technical reasons and will not affect the existing or proposed development or uses on the land. The applications propose, number 1, to adjust the boundary between the 2 lots so that the existing shared driveway will be located entirely on the property at 211 Bell. So Just the middle edge of that blue parcel A there would be taken off of the lands to the west and added on to that property as part of the first application. Secondly, to issue a new consent certificate for 211 Bell to replace one that was granted in 1997, and to cancel the former certificate so that this revised lot boundary will be reflected in legal documents, and so that existing easements on the property are extended or recreated as appropriate over this added land. Thirdly, to sever the portion of 221 Bell that's in the pink color there, to be developed for residential purposes onto its own lot, which would ultimately simplify the leasing process to the residential developer. And fourthly, to sever the remaining northeast portion of 221 Bell, which is in the purplish color there, for future commercial development onto its own lot. After the staff recommendation report was submitted to the committee, Quinte Conservation provided comments stating they have no objection. And at this time, staff have received no other correspondence from the public regarding the application.
Thank you. A question, is the blue property, is that the No Frills store?
That's correct. The blue
So-
property includes the no
So this
frills.
property, who owns that driveway now that goes into No Frills?
Through you, Mr. Chair, currently it is shared 50-50 between the east-west properties.
Okay. Sir, do you have any questions, comments?
Just a few quick comments. My name's
Button, the gray button.
There it is. Got it. Sorry about that. My name's Simon Laughlin, here on behalf of the applicant. As previously stated, the 4 planning act consent applications concern minor reconfigurations to existing lot boundaries and easements, and the separation of the existing vacant land into 2 separate lots for future redevelopment. We have reviewed the report. We understand all of the conditions, and we will comply with them within the time frame. With that, turn it back to you. Happy to answer any questions, and also have my client who may be better equipped to answer any more technical or planning related questions on the line here, so I can check in with them if necessary.
Is that where the farmhouse was? On that
Down on Sydney Street, I think.
Yeah. No, I was wondering where
The farmhouse that used to be there was on Sydney Street, but it was next to where the long-term care building is now, isn't it?
down in the left-hand.
Was that not, there was original brick farmhouse there?
I was wondering if there's a well. Oh, it's north of the.
Right across from Reed's Dairy.
It's north of the long-term care building that's being built. But Jack's question is, was there a well on that property that may be an issue?
Because it was a farm.
Yeah.
Right.
Dale or something.
If I could just have a few moments to connect with my client, I can sort that out for you in a second here. Sorry, just a second.
I think probably what we could do is that we could put not a condition, but a statement in there that if there is a well on that property, that it be decommissioned properly. Was that an issue? That would answer Jack's question? Does staff know whether there is or isn't a well, or was, or?
Through the chair, I'm just looking at Ontario well records online mapping here, and it's not really There are a couple in that area. No, one of them's at the restaurant across the street. This would reflect monitoring wells and things. I don't see anything shown in the area where the residence was. However, it is something that staff could inquire about through the site plan process to see if
Okay.
there's anything.
I know the people that owned it had a farm on, I know about it, and both passed. I'm just wondering if the well was ever taken out.
Our clients aren't aware of any well on the property, so.
Maybe there is, maybe it's been decommissioned.
But Greg, you said in the site plan, that could be dealt with in the site plan if there's a well there?
Yes, through the chair, that can be discussed through the site plan review to see if there's anything.
Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Can someone tell us if parcel B is gonna be the new Costco?
We can only wish. Yeah.
Sorry, just for history, the city did process a full-blown site plan for the corner for a grocery store.
Okay.
So I'm sure if staff goes through their folders and files on the system, they'll see what was discussed
Okay.
8 years ago or 6 years ago
Okay.
for that site, and it probably would have been caught or flagged when they did the site plan for the big grocery store that was a previous reiteration. So I think it can be taken care of, or it has been taken care of.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Spencer. Okay, any other questions, comments, concerns? Anybody in the audience about Bell Boulevard? No? If not, there's 4 issues here. We can do it all as one motion to accept as presented. Joe, second by Jack. All in favor? Done. Thank you. Okay, that completes that part of the business. Our next item is a confirmation of the minutes of December 18. Moved by Robert, seconded by Scott. All in favor? Carried. Okay, any other business? Any correspondence? Our next meeting will be February the 19th, and Jack advised he will not be here. And if there is nothing else, an adjournment. Robert, thank you. Okay.